Salutations, one and all, and welcome to RWBY Recapped. Let's have a look at the 7th episode of Volume 9. There are spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen that episode yet, you'll want to do that first. We open up with RWBY staring at Crescent Rose while everyone else is asleep. This will become important later, but the moment is interrupted by John jerking awake as this paper village that he lives in begins to burn. He also interestingly claims that he is late. John hastens to put out the fires as Team RWBY are approached by a star-shaped individual also made out of paper who offers to serve them, much to the team's confusion. John explains that Juniper took him here after he was poisoned and that these people helped him as it's their purpose. He says that they made this a place of peace. Well, this place is made of paper. I sure hope that someone doesn't show up with a torch, or, it rains. John also gave these people names, implying that they didn't have any before. The others are shocked by this, but you have to think. Jean's been here for possibly decades. Most of the creatures that live in this place aren't sapient. Not really. See, the difference is that sentient life is alive and has sensation. Sapience is when something can experience higher thought, have its own opinions and beliefs, and what have you. Most of these afterans, as they're called, are not sapient. They're essentially machines, only really capable of following their programming. They exist to do X thing until X thing is completed, and then they scrap themselves so that something else can be made to perform another task. So Jean has essentially been in solitary confinement this whole time. Not complete solitary confinement, but maybe a step or two up from that. Humans are social creatures. Sure, you'll have your one-offs who can live in the middle of the wilderness and never see other people and be fine with it, but they're the exception. It's like if someone has been stranded on a deserted island for a great length of time. They'll have to find ways to deal with that, or they'll go insane. But Jean takes them inside and explains that between preventing disasters, he's been searching the other acres for a way out. The others appear annoyed that he hasn't found anything, but this saves you years of searching on your own. The cat pretty much admitted to only using you guys, and even things as basic as physics don't always hold true here. He's saved you so much time. The least you could do is be grateful. Jean proposes that they could protect the village while he continues his search, but has a bit of a mental breakdown, reassuring himself that he's not crazy. Again, this is what prolonged isolation can do to you. But Jean goes to saddle Juniper, and the others have a conversation. A paper person speaks to them and tells them that they want to ascend, claiming that their purpose has been fulfilled. The thing is, Jean won't allow them. All of these disasters he's preventing are their doing. It's strange, but people tend to apply human psyche and needs to fictional races. A fictitious species in a world unlike ours likely won't want what we do. That's why it makes no sense for people to get upset in works where a race can be completely evil. If their existence is the byproduct of an evil being or something like that, then they won't function like us, and they won't have our values or morals. The paper person says, "The tree doesn't kill, it resurrects." You kind of have to die to be resurrected. The team then begin to debate, and Blake says something remarkably stupid. She says that it's not death, it's rebirth. Explain the difference, please. People will sometimes debate that if you replace all of the parts of something, is it still the same object? If you gradually replace all the parts of a ship, is it still the same ship? At face value, this is the sort of vibe that the show is going for. But there's one big difference. What makes you, you, is your traits, your values, memories, beliefs, all of it. If something walks away with your body, but has none of these, you're gone. That isn't you. You're dead, replaced by this new person. That's what these afterans are. But the group says that they need to convince Jean to leave this village, or they won't get anywhere. I'd have to agree. They saved you, yes, Jean, but you can't save them from themselves. Eventually, you'll die of old age, and then they'll just throw themselves into the meat grinder anyway. Unfortunately, Weiss claims that Jean isn't all there just as he comes back. That's partially true, but think about what he's gone through. For you, it's only been a few days. For him, he's been here possibly decades. Jean storms out, saying that they shouldn't listen to the Afterans because they don't care what happens after they ascend. Blake then has another nonsensical response. She says, "We're not listening to them. We're listening to the Afterans." The Afterans are the them, and the them want to off themselves. Jean's in the right, at least about what would happen to you. Weiss then asks him why he cares so much about these people, and Jean counters by saying that he can actually protect them. He probably feels indebted to these people for saving him, but like I said, sooner or later they're going to succeed at game-overing themselves. But more Jabberwockers show up, and Jean, Weiss, Blake, and Yang dispatch them rather easily. I hope that they stay consistent with this, as it won't make sense if they struggle fighting Jabberwockers later, unless circumstances change. But one eventually goes for RWBY, who has stood there doing precisely nothing. As it pounces her, she has flashbacks of Cinder, Penny, and Salem. The others bail her out, and this Jabberwocker changes into Neo before dissipating. But the paper people used this as an opportunity to flood their village, thus offing themselves. Jean is distraught, but the others assure him that they'll be back. No, they won't. Something else will be born from them. They're gone for good. But now we enter the melodrama, with RWBY losing it. She has a few claims, so let's look at them one at a time. She first says, "Why do I have to be the leader?" Well, you never disputed this role. You took it on after Ozma gave it to you, so if you don't want it, then hand it off to someone else. She then says, "What about me? No time, gotta get home." Yes, literally nothing takes priority over the fate of the world. If Salem gets the other two relics, you, along with everyone and everything you care about, dies. Your dad, your sister, your dog, your friends, all dead. Thus, getting back to Remnant and preventing that very thing is priority one. She then confronts Blake and Yang, saying, "Maybe even get your feelings sorted out." That's partially true. Again, your romance doesn't take priority over the world, because if you lose the world, you also lose said romance. The Ponderstorm portrayed this as taking precedence over everything else, and that was my issue with it. Blake, you said that huntresses are supposed to be heroes. They protect those that can't protect themselves. That means that protecting the world from Salem is more important than your desires. Again, if you lose to Salem, you also lose the one you care about. If you want to have the mantle of hero, then you have to place others before yourself. That's what heroes do. They're selfless. Getting back to Remnant is more important than anything else down here. By all means have your relationships, but you'll lose them if Salem wins. Jean then argues back that they're here because RWBY's plan didn't work. That's true, it didn't work, but nobody else offered any other alternatives, including you. Not even Ozma mentioned anything like this. Even if Atlas had been raised, their supplies would have run out sooner or later. They can't replenish them without resources from the ground. Their limited soil won't stay fertile forever. Water will become an issue in the long run, along with medical supplies, and your power grid will fall apart without new resources to repair it. Eventually, everyone would die up there, leaving Penny alone, and then Salem would just need to fly up there and end her, and then the maiden powers would pass to someone else, and thus the staff would have been taken anyway. But RWBY can't take this, and speeds off, and that is where the episode concludes. I honestly can't say that I'm a fan of the melodrama. Yes, the situation you're in is bad, but you need to get it together and give it everything you have to get back and stop Salem. As I said, if she wins, everyone and everything you care about is gone. Nothing can take priority over that, because you'll lose whatever it is you care about if that happens. RWBY's going through this whole deal of, do I want to be RWBY anymore? But whoever you are won't matter if Salem ends the world. But these are just my observations. what were yours? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, then consider leaving a like if you're so inclined, and subscribe to see more. And may you all have a weapon in each hand.